Hi, I'm Jane Rudolph.
And I'm Monsignor Charles Minong.
I'm Father Joe Glass. Welcome to Reel to Reel.
It is nice to be back another week, and especially because we're sneaking up on the first pre-anniversary of Jane's wedding.
Oh, dear. We're going to have to do a countdown.
Almost a year from now, yes.
Exactly. We'll do a countdown each and every week.
Yeah, we're going to have to get a calendar back there.
Okay.
Right? Wedding Central here, friends.
I always look to November as Thanksgiving, even though it's a couple weeks away. When we get into Thanksgiving month, it's like get ready for turkey and all that it means.
Mm-hmm. It is. It's the big day. I like Thanksgiving, too. It's such a nice holiday without a lot of the commercialism.
It's Halloween you don't like.
It's Halloween I'm not wild
Except
about,
for
but that's
the Snickers.
past us. I got through another Halloween. I did well with the M&Ms and the Snickers.
Well, if this month is Thanksgiving, we're going to give you an opportunity tonight to talk about giving to the church. In fact, the word is tithing, and you'll learn of a unique couple in Toledo, Ohio, who are doing just that.
And to talk about giving, the great gift is the Eucharist. And Father Tom Legere has something special to teach us tonight about the real presence.
Boy, it all ties right in with the giving theme. Ann Ayella will be with us, giving us some tips on how we can help the hungry during this holiday season.
Ann Ayella will be here to talk about one of the basic needs, hunger, and there's also a need for shelter and for clothing, especially at this time of year. But when a couple does get married, very often they find that there is not only a physical but a very spiritual need for a child.
And I guess the most difficult thing for a couple to have to experience is infertility. And of all the things that are happening in our time and all down through the history of the church, it's been one of the most trying problems. Now, thank God, many things are happening to help those infertile couples. And what a joy it is to know when science can couple with love and bring us a perfect gift.
When we first got married, we really had pretty much decided that we weren't going to have a family. But then after a little while, you know, you just start to say, well, it's time to add another member to this family, and I think it was very natural and everything.
I'll be 40 years old this year, so that was a real big consideration from my part as well as Connie's part, what she wanted to do. So I guess I had to resolve myself to that fact of starting a family at 40.
After 2 years of marriage, Connie and Dave of Springfield, Massachusetts, decided to have a child. Like many couples in their late 30s, they thought when their minds and hearts were ready to start a family, their bodies would oblige. After several months, they realized that was a misconception.
Infertility, unfortunately, is now at an epidemic state almost in our society. Couples are waiting longer in order to achieve success, quote unquote, and as a result, they're less able to conceive when they finally enter the reproductive desired stage of their life.
Dr. Ronald Burke is director of the Fertility Institute of Western Massachusetts. He knows that when couples experience difficulty in achieving a pregnancy, it becomes more than just a physical problem.
The act that can represent love and affection can turn into an act of frustration and can become, rather than representative of love, can be representative of failure.
Dr. Burke's prescription for Connie and Dave was a gift, or gamete intrafallopian tube transfer. It's similar to the better-known in vitro fertilization, except in gift, fertilization takes place within the woman's body rather than in a test tube. Because it's more natural, gift is much more successful. Connie and Dave went through the procedure twice.
If we go back to the first time that we tried the gift, and Dr. Burke came out and just said, it's just not the right time. There were no eggs. I mean, I think I was in shock for a few minutes because when we were getting Connie ready, she hadn't planned on a second time. Or we sort of said, well, we'll try twice if we have to, but let's try to make the first time. So I was really devastated that it just didn't happen.
I know when I went in for the second surgery, it's sort of like I didn't want to hope too much that it would be a success because I didn't want to be as devastated as I was the first time. And it was hard. It was much harder emotionally than it was physically hard. I mean, I don't like anesthesia or anything like that, but emotionally I was really terrified the morning that I went in that nothing was going to happen. And even though every test that had been run up until then and all the monitoring and everything said everything was ideal, I had heard that before on the first time, so it didn't help.
The second time, Dr. Burke came out and he said...
right after the surgery?
Right after the surgery. Came out in his, operating clothes, and he shook my hand and he says, "You could be a daddy already." And I knew right from then that Connie was pregnant. I just felt it.
Just finding out that you're pregnant, it takes a little while for that to sink in, that you actually are going to be parents. And then after that begins to sink in, you start looking at things a little differently, and slowly you become aware of the things that you're going to have to change, or the things you're going to have to buy, or the way you're going to have to act. I mean, I think it's a gradual process.
Wait a minute, honey. Al, 2 of these, 1 for each kid, no questions asked.
Okay, all right, let's see.
Put them right in there,
All right.
and let's go.
All righty.
As they prepare to become parents, Dave and Connie are counting their blessings. In 7 months, they will be the proud parents of twins.
When we found out I was pregnant, we didn't find out that I was having twins right away. And then it was just a few days later that I went and had an ultrasound. And even though on the first ultrasound the doctor only saw 1 baby, I really was trying to press him to go ahead and look for another one, because somehow or other had that feeling that it was going to be twins. And that week he didn't, but a week later I went back and had a second ultrasound, and sure enough, there were twins.
Is that always how it happens when you have twins, that they would be that close together?
No.
Or could they,
No, because you see, actually yours, we can see this, they're actually really not close together, because yours are not identical.
Yeah.
And see, we can tell very early on.
During the gift procedure, eggs are removed from the woman's body and placed in a catheter with the man's specially treated sperm. The two are separated by an airspace to prevent fertilization from taking place in the catheter. The egg's airspace and sperm are then injected into the woman's fallopian tube, where nature takes over and hopefully a pregnancy occurs. Because it's so natural, it's the only fertilization procedure that does not seem to conflict with the teachings of the Catholic Church. Father Russell Connors is a professor of moral theology at St. Mary's Seminary in Cleveland, Ohio.
It's clear to me, I think would be clear to most moral theologians, that it's a procedure that would fall well within the guidelines of the Church's teaching. So though it's not specifically either condemned or approved in a sense, it's for sure something that I think that falls within the guidelines of the Church's teaching on these kinds of technologies. There is no third parties involved here in terms of donor egg or donor sperm or donor womb for that matter. So in a sense, the gift procedure has the green light as far as that is concerned. But also, the gift procedure can be done in such a way that it doesn't really substitute for the conjugal act of the spouses. So sexual expression within marriage can still take place.
Although Dave and Connie are not Catholic, gift appeals to them because it protects the naturalness of life's beginnings. They respect the divine mystery of life, and to them, gift is God's answer to their prayers.
I think both of us in our hearts felt like this was really, there was no negative reason. There was, no moral reason that we shouldn't do this. It was extremely normal. And I have to honestly admit, when I heard that it was the one method that was accepted by the Catholic Church, that really did make me feel better, because it's just sort of one more, just one more okay on what you're doing.
In a way, I look at what we're doing from that point of view, if you will, as doing God's work, because being able to reproduce is one of the most basic drives and desires that we have. And if in our small way we can help a couple to achieve a pregnancy, then I think that the love and the satisfaction that we've brought into the world is probably one of the nicest things that you can do for people.
When all your hopes are gone for having children, it's got the perfect name, the gift.
Yeah.
So, and it's a miracle, I think.
Yeah.
This is a problem that affects so many couples, and unfortunately, Monsignor, as we know and we all know, not all couples have such a happy ending. So if you are interested in any kind of spiritual or perhaps even medical counseling, give us a call here at Reel to Reel. You'll have our number at the end of the program, and perhaps we can put you in touch with someone who can give you the help that you need.
And please stay in touch. Father Glass has a delightful interview for you right now. Since 1981, Reel to Reel has been proclaiming the good news by bringing you stories of Christian faith in action. We do it by roaming the Delaware Valley, searching for people of faith, hope, and charity.
But like all modern media, it is an expensive proposition. If you're a new viewer, or if you've enjoyed Reel to Reel for many years, we'd like to thank you for watching and invite you to participate by actively supporting the show.
With costs rising all around us, we need your financial support. A donation of $5, $10, $20, or whatever you can send will help to keep us on the air.
Send your contributions to Reel, 222 North 17th Street, room 907, Philadelphia, PA 19103. And thank you.
They say there's no place like home for the holidays. There's nothing worse than being hungry for the holidays. And here to help us all help the hungry during this holiday season is Ann Ayella. Ann, welcome to Reel to Reel.
Thanks, Father.
I should say welcome back to Reel to Reel. I think last year you were one of my very first interviews after I joined the Reel to Reel crew.
Right.
Good to have you here again. Tell me what has happened with the problem of hunger in the year since we have spoken. Are the numbers of hungry in our Delaware Valley or in the country up or down? What's happening?
It seems as if the numbers continue to go up. Unfortunately, more and more parishes and church groups are asking for assistance in becoming food cupboards and want to provide assistance to people right in their own neighborhood who are experiencing hunger. So I think the numbers are going up, but the picture of who the hungry are has changed slightly.
Yeah, tell me about that, because often I think we have stereotypical images that are not accurate today when we think about who the hungry are. What kind of thumbnail description could you give us?
Well, very often now, especially in the counties, the hungry are hard to really pick out because they might be people who own a home, own a car, have a mortgage, but perhaps because they've been laid off or serious illness or some kind of emergency in the family, they might really find themselves in a food crisis. A lot of times people will be afraid to not pay the mortgage or the electric or the phone bill, so they skimp on their food budget, and that's where the family suffers. Maybe they're eating but not the right things.
Yeah, that they haven't stopped eating, but suddenly there's more sickness and health problems, and it turns out it's because of non-balanced kind of diets.
Exactly, right. It's food related.
What is being done specifically in the Delaware Valley this time of year to help the problem of hunger, and what are some ways that all of us can tie in and assist you in your ministry?
Well, at this time of year, we're running a big drive in this area. We've kind of dedicated it to Mother Catherine Drexel with her beatification coming up, and because of her sensitivity to the hungry and the needy when she was in Philadelphia, we have decided to run a food drive in her honor, and we're tying it in with Thanksgiving. And I'm sure most of the other dioceses in the area will be running Thanksgiving drives similar to our own.
Yes, indeed.
Encouraging people to bring in.
And I'll be giving the numbers in just a couple of minutes, too, of where to contact in your diocese to help with the Thanksgiving food drives going on. You've started a new program, too, called a Super Cupboard. Can you give us a little description of that?
Sure. The Super Cupboard really attempts to take the person beyond just receiving the bag of food. I've been doing anti-hunger work for about 10 years, and it gets frustrating just giving people the bag of food and hoping that things work out for them. So now with the Super Cupboard, we're giving them not only the food, but some training and some education. And they're getting some nutrition help. They're getting some money management counseling. They're getting job employment counseling. And it's hopefully going to move people beyond dependency to feeling a little bit better about themselves, a little more self-reliant. So we're excited about it.
So the programs over the years have really developed and deepened into much more than just handing out food, but really looking at each individual case and trying to assist in the best way possible.
Right.
We often hear of your programs and food drives this time of year, Thanksgiving, but is it a seasonal problem?
No, it really is not. It's a year-round problem, and that's what's frustrating. Many times we have our biggest efforts and our greatest response at the holiday seasons, but people are hungry in the spring and the summer too. And in the summer we don't have much response because people are on vacation or busy about other things, and then it takes a while to get the parishes and the schools revved up again for the fall. So I guess our goal would be for people to stay involved on a year-round basis.
What are some ways people can do that? What would you recommend? Is there a way simply to put money aside? Would you recommend that when people go shopping they buy an extra little bag for the hungry? Or what are some tips you could give us all to keep this in front of us year-round?
Right. I think your last suggestion is a great one. When you're going shopping, if there's an especially good deal or buy one, get one free, almost like you said, make up a little package that's going to be reserved for another family who might be in need of food. So keep it always in your mind when you're doing your food shopping. If you have good coupons for cereals or soups, get them and keep them in mind for when your parish has their own collection.
Okay. Terrific. I'd like to give those numbers now for the three dioceses, the Archdiocese of Philadelphia, the Diocese of Trenton, and Camden, to help out, especially this time of year, this holiday season, with helping the problem of hunger in our Delaware Valley. In the Archdiocese of Philadelphia, call 215-587-3767. In the Diocese of Trenton, call 609-585-7049. If you're a member of the Camden Diocese, the food drive is handled locally by each parish, so contact your pastor or a representative of your local parish for more information on how to help stop the problem of hunger in this holiday season. And I thank you for being here again, and I hope that this time next year you'll come back and tell us that the war on hunger is being successful and that numbers are down for a change.
That would be great.
Not ever increasing.
I look forward to that.
Thanks so much, and on behalf of all of us, and I know for the whole Archdiocese, keep up the wonderful work that you are doing.
Thank you.
Because there's so many good programs. Stay where you are. Reel to Reel will continue to unroll right after this.
Tend to think that we do everything ourselves. And we've learned this, and this is a great blessing, not to be dependent on us, but to depend on God for everything. He will take care of us.
You are invited to St. Charles Seminary in Overbrook on Friday evening, November 18th, to witness a truly unique performance by Mr. Tony Melendez.
Like no other day before, you and I will never be the same.
Come share in this inspirational performance of love and faith with Tony Melendez, 7:30 p.m. Friday, November 18th at St. Charles Seminary. For tickets and information, phone 587-3571. We welcome your comments and suggestions and encourage you to write to us at Reel to Reel, 222 North 17th Street, room 907, Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, 19103, or call us during regular business hours at 215-668-9842.
As Ann pointed out, hunger is a year-round problem, not just at one time of the year. But you know, physical hunger, once again, is not the only kind of hunger that we face.
No, if you remember, in 1976, Eucharistic Congresses in Philadelphia internationally saying to us there are hungers in the human family, but they would be satisfied by the Eucharist. Tom Legere, Father Tom, has a nice idea for us tonight on the Blessed Sacrament and the real presence, and he helps us to understand and perceive that it is in the Eucharist that we find a personification of mankind's real needs.
Greetings in the Lord. Recently, a woman returned to the Catholic Church after many years away, dabbling in fundamentalism. The main reason that she gave for her return was that she missed the Eucharist. Now, was this just a case of nostalgia on her part for something from her childhood? Now, we would say that she is touching upon one of the central beliefs of our tradition, and that is that when we receive the Eucharist, we receive the very body of Christ. Now, of course, the Eucharist is found in its own way in different Christian denominations, but oftentimes there, the presence is more of a symbolic one, whereas for us, we really believe that Christ is truly present in that bread and in that wine. Now, the closest group of people that I have found that have our understanding is, interestingly enough, the Native Americans. They have this belief that when something is used in a sacred context, that it acquires a new meaning, so that when they're done with that thing, they bury it or they burn it. Now, on one level, of course, the whole universe is already holy. The whole universe is the body of Christ. But we believe that when that bread and wine are blessed, it's no longer just bread and wine. We have there the very presence of the risen Christ. Let me give a real simple kind of an analogy here. The kitchen table in our family for the last 38 years has experienced Christmas celebrations and birthdays and prom dates and everything else. We've always come around our kitchen table. Now, some people might say that table is just an ordinary table. But we truly believe in our family that table has, in a sense, absorbed the very energies of the different activities that have been celebrated around it. Now, Catholics feel that way about all of our sacred objects. Churches, chalices, rosaries have all acquired a new identity because of their use. We would be offended, for example, if they were used as toys. Well, we would say that it's all the more the case then with the Eucharist, because here it's our experience that the risen Christ is breathed into that bread and wine through the words of consecration. Sure, it still appears to be bread and wine, but with the eyes of faith, we see that it now shimmers with a new radiance that transforms those who receive it into the very substance that they are receiving.
I've always liked St. Thomas Aquinas' idea that the Eucharist is a perfect sign of peace and unity. But peace and unity can be had really when we are able to have our wants and our needs matched together.
Wants and needs, now sometimes they're confused, but they're really two separate concepts. So tonight we're going to take you to Toledo, Ohio, where we'll meet a young couple who have truly found a way to separate the two.
Materialism is, in fact, worshiping idols. Is it any wonder we find in St. Matthew's Gospel the statement, "You cannot serve both God and money"? We are here today to bring you an option to the world's way of living. It is called sacrificial giving or tithing. This practice will...
Jerry and Peggy Gospodarek are proud to talk about their commitment to sacrificial giving or tithing. The Gospodareks set aside 10% of their income for the church and other charities out of a sense of gratitude to God. Tithing has helped Jerry and Peggy to make God their top priority in life.
God should be first in everyone's life. And we've learned through tithing that it doesn't just relate to an hour at Mass on Sunday or time that we take in prayer in the morning or in the evening before we go to bed. But for Him to really be first in someone's life, He must be there all day long. And tithing kind of reminds us that He's involved with our money, He's involved with the jobs that we have, He's involved with our playtime, everything that we do. He's there. That's what thinking of our blessings does. It just kind of keeps Him as a constant reminder.
Jerry and Peggy belong to St. John the Baptist Parish in Toledo. They have a daughter named Sarah. Peggy plays the organ at Mass on Sundays. The Gospodareks say they're just an ordinary family. They are not wealthy. But they have gained many other riches from tithing.
I would say that we've benefited a lot from tithing because now we don't worry so much about our financial situation or things. We've been through some tough times of unemployment and all, and during those times, I'm a chronic worrier. But since we've started tithing, I've learned to leave it all up to the Lord. He gave us the house, He gave us the job, He provides for everything that we have, and I don't have to worry about it. I think in Old Testament times, people had it easier because they realized that crops grew and all according to how the Lord provided weather. But in this industrial society, we tend to think that we do everything ourselves. And we've learned this, and this is a great blessing, not to be dependent on us, but to depend on God for everything, and that He will take care of us.
Also, I think it's helped us see the difference between our wants and our needs. And sometimes I think we all tend to confuse that and think that we need everything. And I think it's helped us see that, you know, there is a big difference between what we want and need, and to keep that in focus.
As we've seen tonight on Reel to Reel, we really have an opportunity to follow up on stories. And tonight you had a good opportunity to do that, Father, with Ayella.
Yes, indeed. It was nice to see Ann again, and nice to keep up to date on the problems such as she presented on hunger. Sorry to say that the numbers have gone up, but I think that's one nice thing about Reel to Reel. Everything we talk about is happening right here, and it gives all of us in the Delaware Valley a chance to tie into these programs and to contribute to solutions.
That continuity is very successful in our parish life with the food programs. So I find it one of the most successful and helpful programs that we ever offer our people. They never fail to respond to it.
Yeah, there is a great generosity, I think, among our people.
In fact, one of the phone calls I received one time here at Reel to Reel was from someone trying to contact Dr. Richard Fitzgibbons for more information. And so on that theme, next week we're going to see once again Dr. Richard Fitzgibbons, who continues his talk on addictions.
Monsignor Murray is coming back next week to talk to us again. And we have a special one for you called SMASH, of all things, but it's an ecumenical self-help program that comes to us from Baltimore, Maryland.
And in the hot seat, Sister Grace will be here. She's the coordinator for the Archdiocese of the Campaign for Human Development. And again, she'll be giving us all ways to help with that campaign.
So since next week promises to be smashing, we'll see you then.
Goodbye, and God bless you.
Good night. See you next week on Reel to Reel.
Travel arrangements for Reel to Reel by Atkinson and Mullen Travel of Media, PA. Phone area 215-565-7070.
We have a special luncheon this Tuesday at noon.
We meet at Williamson's Restaurant at City Line and Belmont Avenue.
It is a time when women come together for prayer and teaching.
The sharing is great, and you will experience God's power and help.
Your life will change. You will find that you trust God in new ways.
The luncheon is special. To register, call 668-HOPE.
See you on Tuesday at the top of the Barclay.
Excuse me. I want to give blood.
You're in the right place. Come with me.
I heard about those people in the accident. I just want to help.
Great.
How are they doing anyway?
Well, last we heard, they're going to be just fine.
You know, it's a good thing you guys were there.
No. It's a good thing you are here.
Call the American Red Cross. Your neighbors need you.
Hello, I'm Gary Maddox. Learning to read can change your life. To get help, call the Mayor's Commission on Literacy at 686-8652.
A long time ago, I had an abortion. At the time, I thought it was the only answer, the only solution. Then I woke up one morning with this incredible emptiness, and I started to cry, and I couldn't stop. You see, I never really dealt with the reality of my loss. Project Rachel helped me to realize God's love for me and allowed me to find forgiveness in His church and in myself.
If you need help, call Project Rachel at 609-546-8945.